like a lot of people with diabetes, you learn an incredible amount because it affects you every day and every minute. The ability to share what's going on, and I think a lot of people these days have found an incredible number of ways to share their diabetes and what they've learned about it. My favorite way of communicating is writing and drawing. That's what I do. That's what I do here at Nike, and that's kind of what I do. That's my passion, is designing things and trying to find creative ways to communicate ideas. And there's a number of brilliant books out there on diabetes, and I just thought, well, maybe I can bring a little bit of freshness to the way that we talk about diabetes and the way that we look at it. So I think that was kind of my inspiration. The big revelation for me, and I talk a lot about this in the book, and was the insulin pump. I think that sort of galvanized for me the idea that, hey, there's a lot of disadvantages to having a pump and to having something attached to you with a tube. I really wish I didn't have to wear a pump, but what I found was that it just made my life better. And so, despite the disadvantage of the insulin pump, I felt like, hey, you know what, any little bit better is better. And as I look back on my life living with diabetes, figuring out ways to make it better, even if it's a tiny bit, ends up being better. And I think that too was an inspiration for the book for me, was, hey, how do we look at things in those terms, about making it better, not perfect, because we're never going to get there, but with really an eye on how do we make it better. Great question, because you know, I had never written a book before, and so I had sent my idea to an agent, and he thought it was a great idea. And so he went and talked to some different publishers, and I finally got a couple of publishers who were interested. And one of their first questions to me was, well, one, how long would the book be? And I said, well, I think about 250 pages. I kind of put together ideas about how many chapters and what I would be talking about. And they said, that sounds great. And they said, how long will that take you to do that? And I really just froze, because I thought, I have absolutely no idea how long it will take me to do a 250-page book. So I tried a number of different things. First, I tried just sketching the whole thing out, and then I would find that writing against sketches was really an inefficient way to work. And then I thought, well, okay, I'll just write the whole thing, and then I'll just illustrate it. And that didn't work at all, because what I found was that the language informs the illustration, informs the design, and vice versa. So it just became this kind of swirling process where I would literally design a page and write the copy, and then I would illustrate it, and then sometimes I would throw the copy away because I liked the illustration. Other times I would throw the illustration away because I liked the copy. So it highly inefficient process, Allison. I guess I really had in mind that it would be a book for someone who's maybe either from the extreme of had diabetes for a while, but is looking for some new ways to think about it, to someone who maybe was just diagnosed, or the parent of someone who was just diagnosed, or the significant other or friend of someone who's diagnosed who never really understood it. Maybe they've lived with a person with diabetes for a long time, but never quite understood it, never really understood how it worked. And I think those people want to know too, right? They love you. They want to know, they want to understand a little bit about what you're going through. So I think I was thinking about both people who had the condition, but other people who lived with people who have diabetes and want to just understand a little bit more about it, maybe a little more about what's going on in their mind as well as their body. So what I spoke about was creativity, and how creativity generates failure, but that as we continue to apply creativity, we're going to inevitably fail, but that creativity is going to advance better in everything that we do. So I said that, you know, as a person with diabetes, failure is just part of the deal. It's never going to be perfect. We're going to fail. And to be able to figure out a way to live with that and accept it, to some degree it's always going to be painful, but that the exciting part is the creativity, and that's going to eventually lead to something better. So we talked a lot about that, and it was very, very exciting. My issues is with low blood sugar. I get severe lows every so often, and so I'm looking at a continuous glucose monitor, because I don't see myself wearing that all the time, but certainly at times when things start to get low, to have more information would be a wonderful thing. Doing a better job of communicating with my family about those low blood sugars, so explaining to them what it means and why I'm acting the way I'm acting and what they can do to help. Part of it is always my responsibility to tell them what I'm trying to do to make it better, so they know that I'm not just saying, well, this is going to happen and we've got to deal with it, but hey, if you can help me, this is what I'm trying to do to help myself, but I'm going to need some support from you. I think that back and forth with family and friends and loved ones is really critical. So that's what I'm working on, is trying to be more open and communicate better about my diet.